Architect Conceptions. Architect Conceptions. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Peace, everyone. We are here for another dope episode of Let's Get Activated podcast. This is episode number 178. We are streaming live right now on YouTube and Facebook. We are also on Culture Shock Radio, Rockbox FM, Gnarly FM, Radio for Sayo via the Village Global Network app. You can download that via Android or iOS. I'm your girl, Same. So for tonight, I have singer, songwriter, engineer, and music producer. Oh yeah, Beats in the building. Hey.
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. How are you?
Oh, feeling great. How about yourself?
I'm feeling amazing. Really excited to be here.
Hey, that's great. I had to start it off, with a great kind of vibe, a moment of reflection, which this episode is going to be kind of like a moment of reflection because you're reflecting back to your story. So do you kind of want to get into, the basis of that track?
Yeah, absolutely. The entire album was a dedication to a good friend of mine who I actually met through social media. They had a kid that was dealing with some issues, bullying and things like that. And so what I did was, I took my platform, my abilities, and contributed that towards them, but also was able to again have like a reflection of myself and the things that I was dealing with, even growing up. So that was basically kind of the basis of the entire album.
Yeah, which they'll definitely need to, check that out. We have all of your music on all platforms. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's
Oh,
everywhere.
awesome, awesome. So we definitely have to get into, the story of you, Orville Wright, aka Oh Yeah. So, where did it start, like your love of music and just getting into everything that you do?
Man, the love of music that starts from probably before I was born. I had my parents, loving couple that they definitely got down. They would boogie. My dad, he was always on the ones and twos. Like, I think I may have like a few pictures of him actually scratching, and God forbid I find any of the mixtapes that he actually created. You know, some people don't know about cassettes, but I
Right.
did have a collection of those.
We
So
come from that era. Yes, yes.
exactly, yeah. So before I was born, I had music in me, and once I was born, going to a lot of family events, the reunions and everything, there was music playing. A lot of dances were coming out. People were doing the Running Man, so here I was doing the Running Man, singing, songs from goodness, so many bands. But then, like, later as I grew up, I was still going to these events. Then I started to sing. So I think
Hmm.
I think I even posted somewhere on social media one picture where my family, they sent a picture of me when I was holding a microphone. Obviously, it was to my dad's like stack, and
Right.
I probably was performing. Maybe I wasn't saying anything because I was too young, but I
Hmm.
definitely looked like I was in my element.
Wow, wow. So is that what you started off first, just like singing, like finding your voice?
A bit. I can say that honestly, when I was growing up, my parents, goodness, let me just go ahead and
Hmm.
put this out there now. My
Hmm.
grandmother, Grandma Margie, she is the one who always has to say, y'all get it from me. So, but it's true. All of my cousins, we are all blessed musically. And she's like, you cut your arm, you're going to see music notes coming from your veins. And it's true because all of us really have that deep rooted in us. So it started with like going to church choirs, singing there, obviously hearing things on the radio, and you want to emulate that and
Hmm.
just reenact. So I'm singing, I'm reciting, and even back in like elementary school, I found like a couple kids that would like songs, and we'd go ahead and recite, rap, and I found
Hmm.
my tribe even growing up.
Wow, wow. And so getting into performing and everything. And then as you were growing up, I mean, I'm seeing you doing songwriting, so did that come next after the singing aspect?
Absolutely. The songwriting, that's something that actually took place probably later on. I want to
Hmm.
say about middle school, high school, I found myself actually writing songs. And they weren't complete compositions at the time.
Hmm.
I was a class clown, so I did find myself writing like parodies. Even before
Got
those
you.
were like really a thing. Then people heard of Weird Al and a couple other cats that were doing things, making their own spins. But yeah, I found myself doing that, and then it wasn't until probably like the era of like when us as kids, teenagers get our hearts broken when I started writing love songs and
Hmm.
everything. So I found myself doing that, and then I just really stuck with my element. It found me. I didn't find it. It was always with me. So that's how the songwriting really took place. And I bounced back and forth basically because of the things that transpired, like event by event, and where I was professionally. So I don't know if you want to get into that right now or not.
Hey, you can't. Look, it's activated, you know? You
All
can
right,
you
let
can
me
get
activate.
activated.
Let me activate all of you. Okay, so
Hmm.
basically, I started off trying to write songs, and that didn't really take place the best way that it could for me professionally. So, of course, I was just writing, writing, writing. I would recite. I even had one time that I called a friend of mine from high school, and I was like, "Yeah, your friends can't see me." She happened to know like some heavy hitters from North Carolina. So she called
Mm-hmm.
them up on three-way. I don't know
Oh,
if phones could do that anymore,
good old
but
three-way. Mm-hmm.
so yeah, what I ended up doing was just waiting on hold. Next thing you know, I'm talking to a whole dorm room of cats that were like freestyling. So it was a battle over the phone. And lo and behold, let me tell you how small this world is. And we're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
I go to a Best Buy when I lived in Prince George's County, Maryland, in Bowie. And of all the people to help me out at the counter, and I end up having a conversation with, it was one of the cats that went to high school with me by the name of PJ. He
Mm-hmm.
just so happened to mention in a conversation that we had, yeah, my boys, they told me they was battling this one dude on the phone. I was like, hold up, who's this mutual person?
Mm-hmm.
We dropped the name, and then it was like, man. So that
Small
was pretty
world.
funny. Real small world. But it was just like, man, yeah, you got some skills, but yeah, what are the odds?
Yeah.
The universe will always find your people for you, and that was just one of those moments that I happened to find one of my people, ironically, just like battling them over the phone, and
Wow.
yeah, just the songwriting. Let me get back to that. It
Mm-hmm.
was like I would find myself freestyling back at Bowie State, and then it just wasn't like still like a professional. I was just kind of doing it like just to do it. I tried to even like draft, my crew into the whole music industry, the whole like, realm, and they just weren't really feeling it. It wasn't really their vibe. So
Right.
I ended up still just like doing me, just going solo. I started to do all of my research. I think Google was still a thing even back then.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, this is like probably early 2000s. And this is when I was like really trying to educate myself um, on the matter of legalities. Like, I want to have basically like a whole empire, a whole
Mm-hmm.
platform,
Right.
and obviously one of the iconic people to do something like that was Madonna at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just looked up everything, seeing exactly the steps to take when it comes to activating myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's basically what I did. I kind of followed those little like milestones that she was going after when it comes to like rights, royalties, and everything, and the whole copywriting. The only thing I knew beforehand was like, the low budget, like copywriting. But then I started to really pursue things like professionally and really invest into like my brand. But back then I was going by a different name. It was just Big O. So when I ended up looking for artists to work with, and
Mm-hmm.
as just an artist myself, that means that obviously I'm going to need a music producer.
Right.
So I reached out to one, and mind you, this is like back in the MySpace days. So
Yeah.
I connected with one cat who was all the way out in Cali, and we actually really clicked for a hot minute. And it's like I think I used one of his tracks. I just rapped over it using like Audacity.
Mm-hmm.
So once I did that, I sent it to him. He was like, "Oh wow, this is really good." The quality was like trash. I didn't have a mic
Right.
like this,
Right.
it was like the sock over the mic in a open
Right.
space living room, all of that.
No
Like,
acoustics, none of that.
no, nothing,
Mm.
nothing. So it was like completely like bare. And, I think at that moment he was able to capture like the potential, and he knew that I was definitely somebody to work with, like
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be, potentially lucrative for him. So we ended up working together. Like, we never signed any contracts or anything, but we were always working on numerous tracks. And let's see. I think there may have been a few other music producers that I did reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when I actually met a big, I basically met myself. as a music producer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is hopefully this is educating a lot of people listening,
Yeah.
because this is one of the stigmas in this industry when it comes to empowering others. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs to know all aspects of whatever they're doing. You know, if you want to succeed, you want to actually like climb up a ladder or see yourself at the top and have like, an empire, you need to know everything. So when it comes to music production, that was like something I lacked entirely. But the reason I even tried to dive into it was because, aside from that one cat out in Cali that I was really close with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I couldn't always go to him for everything. I wanted to try to connect with other people and see what other tracks I could really like feel and vibe with and write something to.
Right.
And when I was trying to reach out to him, I realized a big it was like shocking, not earth shattering, but it was shocking because I was so naive. This is a business.
Mm-hmm.
Anything we do, like a profession, it's a business. So as a music producer, like, especially in that era, a lot of cats were really just trying, they were just after the money. If
Right.
it, unless you were bringing a lot of money up front also, then they really just wanted your money and like keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized the pattern working with numerous like producers, having the contract signed, send it back. I'm realizing, okay, after that, like, they're not even promoting the stuff. It's just
Right.
like, that they got what they
Mm-hmm.
needed. So I realized, the break in communication and just that what could be something beautiful. So I was like, okay, what do I need to do? So I started like using, I think it was Music Maker,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like one of those like cheap programs that I got from one of the PXs. Like, my family, they served in the military, so I had access to that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was I got the program, loaded it up on this old PC tower. Probably
Mm-hmm.
didn't even have sufficient RAM. So, I'm using that, and I'm just like, okay, that was like giving me the bare minimum.
Right.
Because again, I was still educating myself, but just really being lazy at the time. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
be honest with you all. I was being lazy, and here I was just using loops, samples, and calling that a beat.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
There was no like originality with it,
Right.
and that's where the problem lied. So what I ended up doing was just listening to other like professionally done tracks and comparing, and I'm like, yeah, I hear what's lacking. I hear it was like the bass wasn't even present.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a lot. So I had to obviously step back and really, go back to the drawing board. So I'm listening, I'm honing in on that craft, and then I'm just perfecting that in time. And I'm still writing a few songs here and there, depending on
Mm-hmm.
how I'm feeling. I'm always going to be writing, and if not, then I'm always going to be freestyling.
Right.
And as many people who follow me on social media, they see that I also do karaoke. So yes, I'm blessed to sing as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy doing that. I'm an entertainer, so that's something that I'm always going to be like passionate with. Anything with music. So now, yes, I'm a successful music producer. Once I finally honed in on that craft, I was
Mm-hmm.
able to bring it back, and I wanted to perfect and correct the wrongs, not necessarily for myself, but for others that may be in a dark space and, maybe feel like shut out, because a lot of music producers will do that.
Right.
So yeah, what I do with everybody, and I don't care even if it's another songwriter or artist, I'm gonna educate them. Like, they can do it too,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna show them, like, look, I'm gonna be very transparent. Anything that I'm doing, like, it's a partnership. Like, essentially, you're gonna be a writer on this as well. We could share the publishing. I just want everybody to be better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
From where they started. Once they meet me, like, it's going to be something beautiful, and I just have to be like that. even from growing up. Like I always fought bullies for other people. So I'm going to fight those bullies still and really help educate and empower everybody else around me.
That's a great mindset to have, keeping it positive, educating, you definitely brought up some great points, within this entertainment industry, we definitely have to do our homework and be
Yeah,
knowledgeable of everything, copyrights and everything. Like I know, it all as, being a producer as well, definitely got to be careful with a lot of that. So
absolutely.
was that when Oh Yeah was born, like the name Oh Yeah?
Yeah, essentially, it was around the time of songwriting when I was just a rapper. You know, going by Big O, I actually created a song that was like a party anthem track. I'm not even sure if I have it published anymore. It might be on my SoundCloud. But the song is called Party Up, and
Hmm.
I think it was like the second verse possibly, that it's like a pool party. It's a summertime anthem. Everybody is like hyped. They're enjoying the scenery, the vibes everywhere you go, from the basketball court to the swimming pool, barbecues. So of course, one scene that I really depicted was like that pool party moment when everything is just like meshed. Everything's just fitting perfectly and you're having a great day. So, what are some things that people say? Obviously, one thing is, oh, yeah. And I
Hmm.
happen to have that like bite. And something told me just to hold on to that because it was like a great moment. And that's the vibe that I want everybody to have once they are interacting with me is, oh, yeah, what else could it be? It's a great time and a great moment. So that's how Oh Yeah was really born. That was when Oh Yeah was born, but
Right.
didn't actually see light until probably when I actually really started creating beats for other people because I was like just going by just my name and I was like, okay, what should I do? Well, we'll just go with Oh Yeah Beats for now. But I even told, the producer that I used to work hand in hand
Hmm.
with a lot, this was going to be the name. So one of the tracks that we created was under that. And I think I even introduced it in one of the songs. I forgot which one it was, though.
Got you, got you. Well, I know I kind of carried throughout, like, a lot of your instrumentals too, Clever, of course, putting that in there as a producer. Now, also, I know you're involved in sync licensing because I know you have music that's been on House Hunters, correct?
Yes, that is correct. And that's another great moment to share with everybody
Mm-hmm.
because that was actually not even by any of my doing. Mind you, I just dotted my I's and crossed my T's because with rights and royalties, it was a song that I created, and I believe it was a Christian song, a Christian rap song called "Save Me."
Mm-hmm.
So a majority of the intro was actually like all instrumental,
Right.
and I think they actually got probably just a bit of my intro, like when I started to come into the verse on the House Hunters. And I'm not even sure where they found it because I think the only place that I had it published was probably MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just really odd. Like, I never tried to like pitch any of my music anywhere at the time. I was just putting the music out, on the few platforms that I knew about. And of all odds, one of the licenses, to sync found me. And
Wow.
I get like small royalties from that. But of all things, House Hunters, which I watched, I was like, wow, that's pretty dope. So yeah, I did successfully land that, and now a few of my songs are on like several other podcasts. Now, when I did try to
Mm-hmm.
pitch like to other libraries, that's where
Mm-hmm.
I saw the whole competition thing, and I was like, okay, it's really about like who you know. So
Right.
clearly that one placement is a blessing, but I'm not gonna just let that like you know, keep me up and expect like the best.
Right, right. But are you definitely gonna like continue looking for like more placements and such?
Absolutely. I believe that there's a lot of room for all of us, and maybe more of us just need to work together for the same goal instead of just being like, well, I'm going to get to the cheese first, because that's a lot of people's mentality. A lot of musicians in particular. It's I don't know why it's so competitive, but we
Right.
really have the ability to work together. And I have proven that. I've worked
Mm-hmm.
with because I'm you can essentially say that I'm coming from the television and film industry,
Right.
having the placement and also like networking so much with film executives. It's
Mm-hmm.
odd, like I found like a place for myself to be basically promoted, also promote their work, and we're working together. And I'm getting royalties, it's just
Right.
not a license. It's not a sync license. So, which is obviously a pretty decent check for as many people know. But when I'm like in my reflection, looking back, it's odd, right? It's this music
Mm-hmm.
producer coming from television and film who has landed, a TV placement on House Hunters, not on purpose.
Right. Right.
So here I am, just like trying to figure it all out. But I've created some amazing tracks for other podcasts. And, I just count my blessings. It really started from like YouTube. It's
Mm-hmm.
odd, my wife, she actually is a YouTuber,
Mm-hmm.
a content creator. She's gonna slap me for calling her a YouTuber.
Yeah. Oh, better switch that
um,
up.
so no, but as a content creator,
Mm-hmm.
like she comes from a specific, you know, field of
Right.
tech reviewing, all kind of things. So in that community was where I was able to really witness like a deficit. And that was like identification, real representation in music. So I reached out to a few content creators and said, "Hey, I can get you this. I can make this for you." And now a lot of content creators on YouTube have their own track that I created. And it's a beautiful thing, They solely own it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's success for everybody. I get the promotion, they get their royalties from their content, and it's a collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like coming from television and film, I also networked with some voiceover artists, and I actually empowered them, allowing them to be seen as musicians as well because they can share the credit with me on songwriting. So yeah, I had a few of them actually sign up on their PROs, and we were able
Mm-hmm.
to work together. Even one in Canada.
That's great. See, going international, and it's great, building with people and working together. And we wish more people had that mindset, right? But like you said
Yeah,
earlier, it's very competitive. It's very cutthroat, especially when we're going into the independent, the independent side, the indie industry.
right.
It is,
Yeah, absolutely.
but we got to keep, definitely pushing. I did see there your quote on your IMDb. You have like to accept an upset is not accepting failure. So how does that resonate with you?
An upset.
Hmm.
So many times, let me go with one of the sayings,
Okay.
you know, man plans, God laughs. Humankind, we all have like expectations. And as soon as something falls out of place, what do? We immediately seek like hysteria before finding like obviously that reality, and saying, okay, let me really put things into perspective.
Hmm.
So that's basically what my saying is. It's like, you can try to work on being the fastest runner. I did run track. So
Hmm.
that's why that was the first thing that came to mind.
Uh-huh.
So here you are practicing day by day. And though you didn't win first place, you cut your time maybe in half. And now you are faster. You're maybe not the fastest, but did you better yourself? That's the perspective we need to have instead of like, man, I lost to X, Y, and Z, because I know in my household and even growing up, my parents never accepted excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that I'm really stern about, and I appreciate my circle because accountability. That's something that's like it's like a rare gem, especially like in an entire circle. Like you need to have that in order to strive for success.
Right. Definitely. So that's it definitely makes sense. I hear you, like I wasn't necessarily pushed growing up, but I always kind of had that mindset of pushing myself and no excuses. Like you just got to keep going
Right.
with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's important. I got something like a comedy kind of thing too for you because still looking at your IMDb, like you noted that some people mistake you for Dion Cole. I had to say
Yes.
because he just recently had the Netflix, recent comedy special. So I was cracking up.
Yeah, it is hilarious. I got that several times, particularly on what was it on Clubhouse. A lot of
Hmm.
people were like looking at my profile picture, and I think it was the pose that I had along with the lighting where it looked like that was Deion Cole doing his stand up.
Hmm.
Plus, the way that I had my haircut, I believe that like was obviously complimenting like that resemblance. So that's what ended up happening, and people were like, "There's Deion Cole" as soon as I jump into a room. So it's
Oh
pretty funny.
no, that's
Yeah.
kind of funny. Then you have to say no, no, I'm
Right.
not.
Yeah, yeah, I did get that.
That's pretty
Yeah, it's
funny.
wild.
That's pretty funny. I had to bring that one up. I said, "Oh no, we got to talk about that." Has it ever happened, like in person, just you walking around minding your business?
I don't think it's happened in person, but it's weird. I bumped into celebrities like quite often.
Hmm.
So some people don't know. So I'm gonna tell y'all.
Hmm.
I was a mechanic, and in particular, I was a Cadillac mechanic working in Greenbelt, Maryland. There used to be an establishment called Capital Cadillac.
Hmm.
Well, Capital Cadillac Company. They went under. But long story short, you know, in Greenbelt, Maryland, some of y'all may know there was a local musician from there. Her name is Maya.
Mm.
I was working on her car. Well, her
Wow.
Escalade. So, and this was, mind you, when she was
Hmm.
dating the game. So,
Hmm.
she is short and shy, and just so like so modest. She was quiet.
Hmm.
We just kind of like gave each other a nod. Hey, hey. I just kind of went about my business, went back to go work while
Hmm.
everybody was like trying to take pictures and everything with her. It was
Right.
wild. So they were so starstruck, and I was just like, well, let me just not mess up her truck.
Right. Exactly. You don't want to do that. No.
So yeah, that was probably one of the first encounters with like a you know sensational superstar. Then actually in the recent years, I bumped into who was it, Paula Abdul, and she
Hmm.
was super short, which I did not know. Um, and then also, what is his name? It was one of the cats from How I Met Your Mother. I don't know if
Oh
anybody's
man.
familiar with that
I
show,
know the
but
show, but I can't think of offhand, the particular actor
yeah, I
offhand.
don't remember his name. Siegel, is it? Jason Siegel? I believe that's his name. But anyways, we were roughly the same height, and of course, I was. What was the name of the hotel? See, now I'm just drawing blanks. But yeah, it was in a hotel in West Hollywood when I went to perform a song for a nonprofit,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was just pretty amazing. Like bumping into him, it was like, hey, hey, I didn't ask for an autograph or anything because it was like a low key kind of spot, so I just
Right.
let him kind of do his thing. But I feel like it's always been like the same type of energy that I've had. I've never been really starstruck, but just kind
Right.
of like, hey, I recognize you. I'm gonna let you do your thing, and if we meet again, we'll meet again.
Right. Right. Because they're people, everybody is human. People just chose a different career path, you know,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know. Even though I'm sure, like, are there some that you would love, like, to work with, as far as entertainment, or if you haven't already worked with some?
Well, of all the odds, I can say that it was kind of out of place and just a surprise for me when I was able to work with Chris Fane from Slipknot and then, Knucklehead. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. He was one of the members. Well, he was like an informal member of Loonies.
Mm-hmm.
I got
Yep.
five on it.
Yep.
And like just working with both of them was pretty amazing. So yeah, that was probably one of the biggest accomplishments I can say. And that happened all because of just being able to create a theme song for a mutual friend. So I can say that was pretty nice. That was a blessing in disguise.
Wow, that's great. Kind of those ties and connections just through a mutual friend to have that happen.
Right. When they see the talent that you put forth along with like, kind of seeing where your heart's at and not necessarily like all of just your mindset, then that makes people willing to work with you a lot more. And I've seen kind of that same pattern with a numerous amount of like people I've came across. It's like they kind of read you, they check your intention, but then they want to see like that consistency. And then once
Mm-hmm.
people do, like, it's weird. Like, take social media for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I follow a lot of individuals, like they could be celebrities or not, but I'm pretty sure we all recognize like once we get a notification, oh, somebody follows you. But it takes a while for them to kind of like gauge back,
Right.
and then they're like, I see you. I'll give you a follow. I'll engage with you on numerous platforms, and
Mm-hmm.
I see that like that same thing kind of like happening.
Right.
So I'm pretty content with it because I know it's only a matter of time for everybody to just really witness like the genuine energy that I'm bringing forth. It's the same thing every time. So I don't have anything to worry about. And I think as long as they see that, they get comfortable and then they're like, all right, hey, I have this question. So that's why another thing is what I'll do is I'll tell people about the whole mechanic past
Mm-hmm.
because again, me caring about others, I care about everybody. I don't want them getting like ripped off at any gas station or a car
Right.
shop that they go to. If you have a car problem, like at least let me know what their quote looks like so I can tell you if you're getting ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
I've had numerous family members like get ripped off and that made me upset, especially when they're in a different state and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a good thing, not at
Right.
all. So that's good, keeping it positive, genuine, and making sure people aren't cheated out of anything, because as we know in this industry, there's a lot of that going on. So
Yeah.
at least we know, with you, they're getting, services from you. It's definitely going to be, legitimate. And I know you have a website too. And is it like, can they sign up for services through the website, or what's the best way to kind of reach out to you for services?
As far as services go, yeah, you can definitely stop by just ohyeahbeats.com. And, it takes a little bit if you want to surf and kind of look at everything else on there. But if you have a specific need, you're more likely going to get better results reaching out to me personally through one of the emails on the website.
Got
And
you.
then that way we can move forward.
Got you. That makes a lot of sense, So everybody got to get on the website, ohyeahbeats.com, and pay attention to the email and reach out. And like as far as services, what all like services are you currently offering?
So I do the whole songwriting. I also
Mm-hmm.
do theme songs. I also do the music production because now, again, I'm able to hone in. And there was even a time on Clubhouse that I offered that service like for a short moment just so
Mm-hmm.
people could really get a full taste of exactly what I offer.
Right.
So I believe there was one person that, just wanted a song for their kid, just for a birthday song, you know. So they got music production and I even really what did I do? I changed like the vocals on it just to say happy birthday and it was all my voice but it sounds like a whole bunch of kids on there like just
Right.
yelling happy birthday to this kid. And I think they said something like, my kid has 2 left feet, but they just want something they could dance to. I was like, okay. So that was one of those times that I was able to offer like full services, and they got like a blessing. I
That's
think there
great.
was another one, well, several other ones where I again connected with like numerous film directors,
Mm-hmm.
just offering them, all the services like I've told all of you,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be like an issue with your car, or, you really want to know more about like music and all of that. So that ended up allowing me to establish like beautiful relationships and friendships that I'll cherish forever.
Hey, that's definitely a wonderful thing. And you have, such like a big kind of catalog of like music that you've been doing, and what's next for you? Because you already got so much out, but like are you just continually creating more like albums, singles, or what's your next move?
Well, I can say that I am working on another album as well as a short film and music video. So those 3 things are exciting and a handful already. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to be putting out some sort of music because, everybody always needs to hear something new.
Right.
They will still go back to old tracks that you created, some that are timeless. A lot of songs from all the eras that
Mm-hmm.
we've lived through. There are so many that are timeless. I mean, I think I saw a couple ads, and maybe they were memes. People were talking about Mariah Carey because Christmas is around the corner, right?
Right, right. She's defrosting. She is defrosting as we speak.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, thank you. Dr. Sandra Wright said
Mhm.
Soho House. That was the hotel that I ended up meeting Jason Segel in. So,
Perfect.
yeah,
Shout out to the queen for breaking that down.
yeah. But yeah, there's always going to be like more music production, more songwriting, obviously more theme songs. I'm actually working with networking with other companies, businesses, doing things locally because you can't say it, you have to do it. But I've always been about community. And though
Right,
I've reached out in so many other communities doing things with a lot of nonprofits, it makes more sense to work with a lot of people from within like my immediate community.
right.
And the funny thing is I reached out on like Nextdoor over like expansion of another company. So I reached out to the company after receiving so much input from everybody locally. They were like, "Yes, absolutely yes." So, we'll see what happens, but that's kind of exciting to know that like you could still be the voice for whatever type of mission you have in mind. All it takes is the drive in you and, the initiative to see if others will just kind of back you up. And it clearly the numbers aren't lying. So that might be something that comes in the future.
Hey, that's great. And what advice would you give to like young individuals who trying to get into, I would say the entertainment industry, period, since you do, so much within the industry.
Young kids, young kids. I wonder how many of you all remember the story of Wale. He's a local cat from DC,
Hmm.
and he had very humble beginnings because, he was able to kind of be swept under the arm of Jay-Z, I think, at one time on tour. But he was learning everything about it before he actually really jumped on stage. He was
Right,
behind the scenes. So that's exactly what I want to tell all of you is get behind the scenes however you can and just learn everything. You can practice doing it all, but definitely make sure you are just taking notes and wondering and applying yourself at how things could be better, how
right.
you can make things better. That's the sole key with really succeeding if you want to get into this.
That's great advice, which they need that because there's so many, the youth, you know what I mean? Like we definitely have to pass, our knowledge and everything down to them. So they need that advice and mentors, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I feel like the music industry, it's not even looking at victims in just kids, because the wife and I, we actually see the same thing happening to a lot of the like the young women in the music
Mm-hmm.
industry. A lot of them finally are empowering themselves when it comes to like ownership. you know for so long, I think a lot of them just kind of accepted like what was, and just said, okay, it is what it is. Now I'm locked in this contract, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't work with the people I want to work with, you
Right.
know, and that happens because of not really like educating yourself, or really just kind of accepting like the roadblocks that they will set up
Mm-hmm.
if you don't comply.
Right.
So it's like, but you could do for yourself, and then, all right, I'll see you in probably like 5 years doing it my way. Some people can be like okay with that, but others were like, no, I want that success now. So they just conform. And I feel like, in order to empower not just yourself, but also like the community around that is watching you, it makes more sense to really take that initiative and stand up, and step out.
I agree. I definitely agree. No conforming. And that's why I love kind of it being within indie because you kind of have your own control in a sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Right.
It's just finding the right tribe though and just being kind of smart, doing your homework on the people that you're working with too.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
Truly, truly. So we do have a ending track. I want to talk a little bit before that about like Tyler Perry. Is that somebody that you really kind of look up to or, you
I don't know
know?
if I look up to him, but I definitely admire like his resilience story, because he had humble beginnings. Obviously, he came from like a broken home, and while I can't relate with that, I can understand the voice that was suppressed.
Mhm.
He wasn't able to really get things out when he needed to. Even once I read his book, that was where I really understood kind of like another stigma, things that aren't talked about within like the communities that we all are in. And of course, one of them being like the domestic violence, we're finally having some people really speaking up and helping others out. If they see something, they're going to say something or step in and do what they can to help, because like that was one of those instances. But the inspiration from that song really came from not just his book, but also watching him touring around his studios, because he was really displaying like a lot of humility right in that instance. And he wasn't boastful. He was just really talking about like the things that we all got to know, not just the whole Medea thing, but also
Mhm.
like, him keeping one of the cars that he lived in one time, you
Mhm.
know, and I only learned that through his book.
Right.
But it was like that resilient story that made me say, okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna write a song about him. Like who else has actually written a song about him? So I did that, and from the book was where the exact song, the
Gotcha.
composition. I was inspired to create something original. It's like I wrote everything down in my notepad. Like, okay, I want to mention this about his family, the aunts, the women, you know, and really make sure that that's kind of highlighted, because as many people know, his mother was like that rock for him, growing up and really trying to thrive in this industry. He only
Mhm.
had, a small circle of people to talk to, and one of them being his mother. Me
Right.
being a mama's boy, I definitely like can relate. Like it's like, you know, you can talk to your dad about like some tough things, but like
Mhm.
when you want that compassion and you really want to hear like you know that real emotion, you're gonna hear it from a mother, like a strong woman who's going to tell it like it is. You may not want to hear it necessarily, but you're going to hear it, and honestly, the message will be right on time because they always have been. Love you, mom.
Yeah, she's here in the chat, so that's dope. That's really that's really dope. So but before we get into that, I definitely or do you have like any shout outs that you want to give or do or anything like that, any breakdown of anything else coming up or in your socials? You want to drop all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. First and foremost, all glory and honor to the Most High and our ancestors, and peace and love to all of the loved ones that we have lost along this way, this journey we call life. It's a lot of people that we have all lost, and we think about from time to time. And I don't want to get too emotional, but a lot of that has made me who I am, and I'm thinking about all of them as well, and I'm counting all of my blessings. I pray for all of you that you're all doing amazing, and if you're not, that you will soon, because all we have is the energy we put forth towards everything, to help understand that we're all the same. We all strive for the same things in life. Just look at your neighbors, look at the people you may not like, and see that in them. I think that's really important.
Definitely. It was a great word for sure, and I gotta, thank you, for coming on here, oh yeah, beats and just, spreading the positivity and the work and everything has definitely been, dope.
Appreciate that so much, Same.
So thank you. And any shout outs that you want to give? Oh, and drop your socials too for like the radio listeners as well. We can't forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, shout out to the wife, shout out to the whole family. Andrea, shout out to even my dog. He's getting older, so but shout out to just all of you, my small circle of supporters. I really love and appreciate you all more than you know. It's I had one of them. I discovered she passed like months back, and I realized that like 2 weeks ago.
My condolences. I'm
Um,
sorry about that.
I actually created a theme song for her, and that like changed her world. You know, uh, she was like so emotional in that moment that I shared that with her like for the very first time, and that just I love having that effect. I love being able to spread and share my blessings with others, and I just want to see that in everybody. I want to see them, empowered in everything that I do. That's how I feel closer to them and closer to God. So that's my shout out. So that's what I have.
Definitely great. Definitely a great shout out. And yes, shout out to Miss Andrea in the chat. Yes, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube, and Facebook, it's activated. Definitely appreciate you for tapping in. And I appreciate everybody in the chat for tapping in, watching the live, sharing, showing love, everybody following each other. That's what it's all about, peace and love for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And, thank you again. Oh, yeah, for coming on to the platform. Everybody be sure to follow on Instagram at Oh Yeah Beats. And, we're going to close it out with, the Tyler Perry tribute. But again, want to thank everybody for coming on the show, watching, spreading love, spreading positivity. And, we're going to go ahead and get it in. Let's go. Peace and love.
Yeah, it's so yeah. Just finished reading How I Was Waiting from Tyler Perry. It really got me thinking. Now it's time to reflect. Listen up. We overcome fear with the strength and our faith. Don't forget, every day take a break and give thanks. A young man learns God's got it in his banks. No wonder how we reach goals and move up. Praying, move with mama in our hearts. We find peace in the ruts and salute to the roots as we rise right above. We learn that we yearn to share this type of love. Greatness is waiting every day. We're higher up. Child of Willie Maxine, that's word to Medea. Mary didn't know, but now the whole world could see it. She said, he's in control, but it's okay. If your dreaming goals may be on the will on him, be steady leaning. A son becomes a man before the kingdom. A lot we don't understand, but with them we win. Deeper the trees are strong through every season. Salute to the roots in our lives, what we need in. September 13th, another day of winter beamed in. Children are the light, helping bring a new reason. Purpose behind presence to the women when they speak, and they tend to be obediently teaching. The beauties in the book, believe I'm blessed to read them. When you point, we look through the blessed that we breathe in. Humble and kind to the stranger that's reaching down to the feet. Talk about angels. Always feed them. I feel refreshed, reminded about my freedom. It's time to collect, call the camps, get the team in. Against the world, the most high makes it even. It's I giving credit anywhere else, a deep end. No longer stuck in my own way, think about myself. I really want all my people winging. I mean flying high, thankful for beneath wind. Wings getting clipped, coming back, now we screaming. We overcome fear with the strength and our faith. Don't forget, every day take a break and give thanks. A young man learns God's got it in his banks. No wonder how we reach goals and move up. Brain move with mama in our hearts. We find peace in the ruts and salute to the roots as we rise right above. We learn that we yearn to share this type of love. Greatness is waiting every day. We're higher up. Father moment, Mother Nature, appreciation for a quick combination to unleash. While we waiting, understand self-hatred and other peace. Less anxious movies he made. Thankful in the streets. If it's cold, giving heat. Blind finally first seen. It's Padilla in the world. He's the man in between kings and queens. So we breathe his success to the beat. Less stress, better sleep. All you need is believe. Just a track for Tyler Perry in a better space. Yea, though we walk, standing tall, recognizing grace. Trying to be like the highest up, staying with the pace. Thankful to feed others, waiting for the extra play. I hope you all feel that it's nothing left to say. Praying and remaining truly changed every step we take. Humanitarian who always has a message played carefully. We're all going higher than our yesterday. We overcome fear with the strength and our faith. Don't forget, every day take a break and give thanks. A young man learns God's got it in his face. No wonder how we reach goals and move up. Brain move with mama in our hearts. We find peace in the ruts and salute to the roots as we rise right above. We learn that we yearn to share this type of love. Greatness is waiting every day. We're higher up. Yeah. Just a thank you to Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios for always impacting, influencing, and helping us remember we're all going up. And now, a salute. Greatness waiting every day, we're higher up. We're all going higher than our yesterday. Greatness is waiting every day, we're higher up. Salute to the roots in our lives, what we need. Greatness is waiting every day, we're higher up. Talk about angels, always need them. Greatness is waiting every day, we're higher up.